I'll give you a piece of candy if you show us something really freaking cool. How's that sound for a deal?
I'll try. I mean,
right.
I'm using your pride and joy, Prismic, today. So I expect at least one free sticker.
My pride and joy and mortgage payment also is
a left Twix.
Nice.
At least one.
Yeah,
not the right Twix.
I can promise you
left
Twix. I got Kit Kats, man. I mean, that's as close as I'm getting.
You got Kit Kats. Okay.
It's just it's the brand. It's the Hershey's brand bag. I don't think they do Twix.
I'll take what you get. Take what you can get. But
yeah.
I might stop back.
But Prismic, let's dig into this. So I'm super excited for this. Alan is still going. I love it. Yeah. So do you want to show us something cool?
I sure hope so.
All right. Awesome.
I mean, I just came out of the kitchen. I wasn't prepared for this.
Nice.
But I have a nice concoction brewing here. There's a drawing of witch's brew just under here. These are the bubbles coming up from my stove, if you can imagine this.
I'm imagining.
It's time to get spookity, of course. This says RIP Webpack, by the way. I want to call that out. It's a little small. Anyways, what we'll be working with today is a witch's concoction of multiple technologies, some of which I've never tried before in my life. And I took a leap of faith last night, seeing how the recipe would turn out, and it turned out perfectly at the end of the day.
That's good.
So we will be using the Prismic CMS in order to pull in some spooky data about some houses we're going to go trick-or-treat in a moment. We got our Tailwind CSS in order to apply some scary fast live reloading using some utility classes.
Whoa, that's some scary stuff.
Regular SCSS, everyone's favorite. And then a combination of Eleventy and Vite in order to glue everything together using the Slinkity framework. I've named so many tools because I want to show people that every tool works.
Everything works.
Under the sun, everything works.
So you want to share your screen, right?
I do.
Great. So hit the little the monitor icon at the bottom.
I will. Yes. Let's see here.
All
because I don't know if you've heard the story of Frankenstein's monster, where the inventor was more afraid of his own invention than anyone else. I think Windows and Slinkity is a good sort of metaphor for that, where Windows was a little too afraid of our latest canary and would not run on your machine.
Yes.
I will be sharing my own trusty Macintosh here in order to showcase some of the latest features in this now tech demo that I will be showing you all. So I hope that this is large enough for everyone to read at home. But I've set up a crazy example project that uses all sorts of technologies. This is, at its core, it's just your regular old Eleventy project.
Okay.
If you're familiar with the Eleventy framework, you could have written this with regular Eleventy yourself. Slinkity is the tool that lets you unlock a lot of other technologies that you wouldn't be able to marry with Eleventy on its own. It's definitely a Frankenstein's monster of sort of parts from every part of the community.
Scary
and
guy.
We have all sorts of configs, all sorts. Oh my God. It's intimidating for sure. So I guess to run down some of the major parts of this stack, the first piece I want to call out is our Prismic CMS that I've set up here. And this is where we've set up the data for all of the houses that we're going to be trick-or-treating. So we have a few families that we're going to be visiting: Night of the Living Single Thread, Counter Plus Plus of the Monty Chris Big Oven, and Nolish Pointerton. They got the goods. They definitely have some good candy. So happy to go be visiting those in a moment. And we can see we've logged all the information about their house, a photo of their house, a description of some of the treats that we can expect to find at this house, the family name, and the legend of how the house came to be. Ooh. These are a collection of short stories that I asked the front-end Discord community for. And Ryan rose to the task and gave us one of the three stories here. The other two are from a random Google search result. But I'm sure they're good stories as soon as I get around to reading them.
Yeah.
So we have these all set up here. We have rich text in order to log our stories. This is going to turn into a beautiful Markdown file in a moment. We have the title of our story and then a few other pieces of data. And all of these are pulled in using the house type that we've defined, because every house is going to have its own story and its own family name. So that is the Prismic side of everything. The second piece is, of course, wiring our Prismic CMS into our existing website. And this is using an incredible plugin that Lucy has put together a member of the Prismic team.
Yeah.
Installed this into my project, and it was plug and play. It took me 10 minutes to set this up, having never touched Prismic in my life. So big recommendation for this one if you happen to be working with Eleventy and want some sort of CMS in order to pull in data and work with a design team or something. So I've installed this into my project. We can go to our dependencies here and find this beautiful dependency. And then in my config, all I've done is I've configured the Slinkity repository and said, go fetch all of the data from Slinkity, and then we'll be able to read it in. It's interesting that Prismic is public by default. I was shocked that all I had to say was Slinkity, and it magically appears.
Whoa.
Like a thief in the night.
Don't say that. That's a scary name. All I had to say was Slinkity.
I know. If you say the name 3 times in a mirror, I can't tell. I can't tell what will happen. But now we have our site live here. And the command that I've run in order to resurrect this website from the dead here is, instead of Eleventy, I've called the Slinkity command.
Okay.
And if you're unfamiliar with Slinkity, it's the same as the Eleventy CLI, and you can pass the same flags that you're used to. All you need to do is replace the word Eleventy with Slinkity, and everything will magically wire up using a JavaScript bundler. So if you want to use JavaScript resources, now you have the tool to do it. This chef's hat is very large. We will continue here. This is also using the latest Canary build of our latest version 0.3. That's the reason we were causing some Windows trouble.
Got it.
Yeah. And I want to call this out as something really cool. You can install GitHub branches as NPM packages. I never knew this, but I just said, I want to install this branch as a package, and it works. So that's
GitHub.
A thing.
Wow.
I know, right?
GitHub's
In my
fantastic.
CLI, I just ran Slinkity/Slinkity # in the name of my branch. And
Although that might be an NPM thing now that I think of it. You know what I mean? Because NPM is the one that has to go and wire that up. But still, shout out to both giant companies owned by Microsoft. Good on you.
Shout out to the giant companies.
Good on you. Yeah.
Microsoft's not getting enough love. You know,
we're all in the MCU. That's what I'm saying.
God, yeah. I mean, it's true. It's very true. And this is the live site that we are looking at right now. This is our block where we're able to browse all of the houses that we're able to visit here.
Solid.
We can come inside if we dare, or we can remain at the door, give a little knock, and take some candy for our goodie bag. Down here, I have the count of candy that we have earned.
Oh, nice.
I have been collecting candy all through the night. Let me tell you.
You've been busy.
So, we've been busy.
Or you hit up one house that said, please take one. It's tough to say.
You see, when they say take one, you can just take the bowl.
Take one bowl,
want to.
please. Look at
taking the
you,
bowl right now.
Ben. You put this together. This is so freaking cool.
Oh, I did. I thought, I mean, we can't have
That was
a
excellent.
trick-or-treat game without some beautiful candy going into our goodie bag. So
Chat,
that's what we
look at
have
this.
here. And if you're curious, how is this wired together? I'm using Eleventy right now, and I have some static Markdown files. What voodoo is this? Well, Slinkity offers 2 interesting features. The first one is being able to insert components into your existing Markdown files, which we'll look at in a second. The second one is just using JSX to write a whole page. So if it's like,
Okay.
I wanted to make this whole experience with React. So I said, all right, index.jsx, that's a route on my site now. I can see it in my build output here. Index.html is the output of this guy. And inside of here, I can do whatever I want. I can define the layout that I want to wrap around this. And this layout configures my styles and my tailwind and everything else that I need.
Okay.
And then set a little browser title, which I can see right up here. There's no React element involved. It's just pulling it into a layout, and there it is. This is where things get fancy. So the beautiful thing about Eleventy is that it has a global data store that you can sort of pull things down from. I know my previous Ben clone, Ben Myers, has an excellent blog post on understanding Eleventy's data cascade.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely recommend looking at that one.
Drop that in chat.
I'm sure someone has a link in the chat.
Yeah,
right?
drop it in there.
Oh, drop it in the chat.
No, not you. I'm talking. Yeah.
I know. I'm
Cool.
waiting. But yeah, that's the resource that I followed in order to make sure I understand it.
Awesome.
But yeah, once we set up the Prismic plugin, it generates a Prismic key. I mix up Prisma all the time. Sorry.
I used to for way too long. Don't worry about it.
It's tough.
It's tough.
They're both dev tools, right? But yeah, it exposes all of our custom types and lets us iterate over them. So the name of my type is a house. So now in here, I can say, give me my houses, and then I'll map out all of the data that I actually want to put into a little JavaScript bundle for my component. So I look at my houses, I say, all right, I'm going to need a title, and I can access Eleventy shortcodes as well. This is part of what the Prismic plugin lets you do, is take in that family name, which is wrapped in an H1, and then convert it to some plain text using this shortcode. So that's what I've done. Then the subtext is just the alt text from that image because I was too lazy to make another field. And then the URL is the unique ID that I've defined for each house. I think it's just house 1 and house 2 at the moment. And then the image is the image, and that's everything. So now in my component, I can access this beautifully mapped set of houses and turn them into some house components. And that is what you are seeing on this screen. No, on this screen here. So yeah, I will pause here if you have any like initial questions on this setup.
No, so just to kind of like walk through it to make sure I'm getting it. This is an Eleventy site running React, right? Like that's just the big crux of it. Pulling in content from Prismic CMS.
Yes.
But it's dynamic, and we get to have that fun button thing. Can you please click the button a bunch more times? Because I really enjoy watching it.
I'd love to.
You did such a great job on that. That's so much fun.
So much fun.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, so
more tricks to this.
So
I'm only halfway there.
you get a lot of benefit of Eleventy, but Slinkity makes it possible to like if you were just running Eleventy, it would be a lot tougher to do state management like that, right?
It would be, yeah. And we actually have an initiative coming soon to sort of allow state management across your site in an even cleaner way. Right now, we're using local storage in order to set this up.
Yeah.
Where I'll just demo this right now. If I explored the story of this site, notice I've generated a route on my site from Prismic data. That's something Eleventy on its own lets you do. I mean, look at that. And then I can browse this story, and at the bottom, it will give me my current goodie bag count, so I can go back to trick-or-treating.
This is a great
demo,
pulling
from local storage. Yeah. And there's more to that in a second. But yeah, that's the main output. And what I want to show is this is not magic at the end of the day. This is not a witch's concoction. If we look in the build output, what it did with our JSX file is it stubbed out a component that we're going to put on the page. And then it put in a little JavaScript that's going to load in these props that came from Prismic and we mapped out by hand. And then it'll just throw it in using React Render. If you've used Create React App, we made a Create React App. We just took out some steps in order to turn a JSX file into a page. So that's all we've done. And you can opt out of shipping JavaScript if you want to and just server render it Eleventy style.
But I can still like not have to write nunchucks because like I personally don't love nunchucks. It's not my thing.
Me neither.
Like that's why I've really enjoyed Astro because it has like similar kinds of things I can write React. But this is like I get the benefits of Eleventy, and it's just I'm comfortable with JSX and I want to write it for my site. It's just my preference, and I love that Eleventy gives that back. But I don't have to hydrate over that component, right?
Exactly. Right now, you can sort of opt in and out of hydrating the whole thing, but we have a proposal to partially hydrate components as well, similar to an Astro file, where I could like insert a shortcode here and say like shortcode .react and then the path to my component. And that's how you'd partially hydrate. We're working on it. We'll figure it out because I don't want to use nunchucks for partial hydration. That's the win when we can get there. But yeah, that's what we're moving towards. And I had one little thing to preview because I know your grandfather's very strict about his rules. So I will just be quick about this here. This is a demo of how you can insert, this is nunchuck syntax, yes. But this is how you could insert a component into a Markdown file. So if we go back here, remember that trick or treat bag I showed you? Well, when we first visit our page, there is no JavaScript being loaded in our network activity. But when I scroll down to our component at the bottom of the page, it magically loads all of our JavaScript, only when we get to the footer. I think this is great for like carousels to read more or a comment section and you want to delay loading those resources. And all we've had to do is say, render this component lazily so that we can only load the resources when we need them. And then it'll pull in from local storage inside of our little trick or treat bag. And that's it. And then if I want to like mess around with styles here, the live reloading is very quick. So I can just mess around with that, use a little beat magic. And soon enough, it'll be even faster without even having to do page refreshes. We're slightly limited right now on how server rendering works, but soon enough, it'll just be instant. And the page won't even refresh. It'll just reload that one little resource. So I think a lot of stuff is going well on this little witch's concoction that we put together here. And I've never used Tailwind before. I am shocked that everything just worked first try. So I'm proud to say Tailwind support is now included in Slinkity.
You did.
I didn't have to do anything.
You did a very good job. I am dancing. I am tiptoeing around the little box that Amit Sheen has put me in. The people watching who type on their keyboards, I can't say the word of what they are. I've got a lot of word bans, so I think you did fantastic. I agree with everything you said. I'm trying to. They are really putting. They banned 2 words. I can't say them, but yeah. Ben, thank you so much for coming on.
What's going on.
Yeah. I got IRL word bans, and they're hitting me. They're hitting me square in all my go-to words. So, Ben, my silence is not indicative of how awesome this was. That trick or treat demo, so good. I really appreciate you coming by. Everyone, Slinkity gives you Eleventy and React, like best of both worlds. Hannah Montana, but it's
felt in view soon. We're working with the Astro team to support it. It's coming.
I love that you're working with the Astro team. Astro team is so cool, and I love that they're not like seeing you as some spooky ghost coming to steal all their candy, but instead as a friendly ghost, a Casper, if you will.
Politely steals your candy.
Yeah, but shares candy and says, "Here, I'll break you off a piece of my Kit Kat."
Candy.
Yeah, exactly.
We all have the same trick-or-treat bag. That's what this is for.
We all have the same desire for sugar. Ben, thank you so much. Always good to see you. Take a treat and get out of here, buddy. I'll see you later, all right? Happy Halloween, dude.
Yeah.
Bye.